Energylandia is home to some of the biggest and fastest coasters in Europe, but is it actually one of the best theme parks in the continent? Or is it just a coaster factory? Right, let's start with the headline attraction then, shall we? And that, of course, is Zadra. Now, if you watch the channel for long enough, you will know that me and RMCs don't normally get along. I have done around about 6 RMCs now, and there's only 2 or 3 that I can say I have enjoyed and will go on again. Zadra's on that list. Zadra is a fantastic RMC, thoroughly enjoyed it. In fact, Carly came off it after just 2 shots and she said that is her favourite coaster. Now, the biggest problem I've got with RMCs is the trains, right? They make fantastic layouts, excellent coaster designs, but their trains are amongst the worst I have ever experienced. But Zadra is actually okay. It is very comfortable and re-rideable. Now, we did this a few times. Now, just for context, we were there in the winter months, so you'll notice throughout this video, some attractions will be missing because I've not experienced them. However, we did Zadra in the freezing cold, and this thing was still absolutely hauling around the track. It was absolutely bonkers. Now, people have said to me, in the summer months when the park is open all day and it is warm, this thing is even more crazy. So I do need to get back in the summer to see those other attractions as well. But as it stands, even with my experience in the cold, Zadra is getting put in the keep list. Right, let's switch up a little bit and go to one of the smaller coasters, and let's pick Honey Harbour. Now, this is in their newest area, that kind of Sweet Valley area. And you're going to notice one thing as we go through this list. I kind of joked that this is like Vekoma the theme park. They have a ridiculous number of coasters. A lot of them are Vekoma, and this is one of them. It was okay. There was nothing special about it. 2-lap special. Actually, I struggled to fit in this, and I find that really, really strange because, well, there's multiple other coasters with exactly the same train design, and yet for some reason the guy had to undo the restraint, tell me to cross my legs so that I would fit, and then put me back in again. Don't know what happened there, but it was okay. Like, there was nothing wrong with it. It was perfectly smooth. You know, Vekoma at the moment are smashing it. It just didn't do very much. And well, if you've watched this series before, you know that I am a big fan of keeping coasters for the younger people. Well, there's a massive selection in this park, so I will be keeping some. This one, I'm not going to get rid of it because there's nothing wrong with it. I'm going to put it in take it or leave it. Right, so sticking with the Vekomas, the next one I've got is Formula. Now, this is their launch coaster from 2016, I believe. I'm pretty sure it got an award. I'm sure in the kind of queue line there was some award for it being kind of like best coaster of 2016 or best new coaster 2016. It is good. It's got a decent launch. Not the most punchy, but it is pretty good. Straight into kind of inversion. And then it kind of does its thing, and there's a few bits that are kind of, you know, like when you go through that sort of tunnel, that's quite good. And then there's a few other bits that's just kind of meandering and not really doing much. I think I timed it and it was like 40 to 45 seconds start to finish. So I know coasters aren't exactly the longest things, but I think this is a little bit short. Nonetheless though, for that kind of, it's not the thrill coasters, but it's also not the junior one. It's kind of like that sweet spot in the middle. And for that reason, I kind of enjoyed it, and I'm going to keep it. All right, next one. Next one is also Vekoma. Yeah, there's a lot of Vekomas here. And it's RMF Dragon Coaster. It's their suspended coaster, or one of their suspended coaster. There is another one, and I was kind of surprised by this, to be honest, because I had very little expectation of it at all. And then you kind of, when you get to the top of the first lift hill, or the lift hill I should say, and then you come down, you're going straight into the dragon's mouth. And there's definitely some periods in there where you've got some decent forces, which again, I wasn't expecting for very much a family attraction. And it is very comfortable. The one thing that made me laugh when I was there though is, if you've seen Vekomas, you know that typically they put kind of like an installation plate that says, you know, manufactured by Vekoma, the date, the model, and all that kind of stuff. This is a suspended coaster, not suspended. Nonetheless, I thoroughly enjoyed this one, and gotta chuck it in that keep pile. Right, next one I've got is over towards Zadra, one of their kids' attractions known as Frida. No prizes for guessing who the manufacturer is. And it was actually quite good. It was more forceful than I expected. Exactly the same trains as a lot of these coasters, but I didn't have to cross my legs on this one, so I don't know what happened on Honey Harbour. Yeah, it was good fun. I quite enjoyed it. There was some screaming kids on it with me when I did a POV, but that was okay. And yeah, it's one of the kids' ones that I'm gonna keep. The next one is this one really caught me off guard. So again, in the new Sweet Valley area, their headline attraction in that section is the Choco Chip Creek. It's kind of their mine train coaster. There's lots of weird things going on with this coaster. Not just the coaster itself. Like the queue line is brilliant in terms of it's very well detailed, etc. It's bloody long, and I cannot imagine even in peak summer this thing has a queue big enough to justify the amount of queue line that they have put in place. Now I could be wrong, and if you've been there in the summer and you've been in a massive queue, please let me know. But it just seems like excessive. It seems like it could cater for like a 2 or 3, maybe even a 4-hour queue, and I can't imagine this ride ever getting that. It's also got, so in that queue line, there are 2 fake elevators, conceptually similar to Subterra at Alton Towers. So you kind of go in and floor kind of vibrates and screens and stuff. When I was there, it was quiet, so they were literally just walking straight through those, which kind of shattered the illusion of an elevator, because you just go straight in and out the other side. I have heard people say that in the summer months they do use them, but there is that. And then you get onto this coaster, and now this is probably one of the longest mine train coasters. Well, actually, the one in Phantasialand's pretty long, but this was surprisingly long. 3 lift hills, and it just seemed to keep going and going and going. Definitely some pockets of force in there, which were very, very enjoyable. The one thing though, and I think somebody said, they clearly ran out of money. Right, because it starts off beautifully themed, and you've got these kind of like fake sort of rockwork things that are supposed to be like choc chip cookies, and then halfway through the ride there's just a steel structure that they haven't bothered finishing, and even some of the facade on the building is the same. I think they put far too much money into that 4-hour queue line and forgot to finish the theming on the ride. It wouldn't be so bad if they hadn't bothered putting the metal structure up. You wouldn't notice. But the fact they've kind of half built it and then went, I'm going to assume that the money dried up. But the ride itself is actually a lot of fun, and it is very, very long. Way longer than you'd anticipate for these kind of things. But I'm going to keep it. Right, stepping away from the coasters for a little minute. Again, in that Sweet Valley area, they have a kind of standard tractor ride. The kind of, it is a tractor ride in a tractor vehicle. And you go through like a barn with cows in it, you go through another barn with chickens in it, or hens, or whatever it is, and it's okay. It's pretty good. I mean, obviously it is not intense by any stretch of the imagination, but it's good that they've got the kind of smaller attractions. There are a number of them. Not all of them I went on, I'll just point that out. I did go on this one because I thought, why not? I'll get a POV. And it was okay. There's nothing wrong with it. I will put it in the keep pile just because I think having a tracked ride for that audience is a good idea. There is another one that we'll get to, but yeah, it was alright. Right, next up we've got a flat ride that I'm not even going to try and pronounce the name for this one. I might put it on screen if I can copy and paste, because I can't even type the characters, to be honest with you. But it's basically their swings, right? It is their wave swinger, but you know me, I enjoy these rides. Doesn't matter what they look like, I just enjoy them. So I'm just going to keep it. That brings us to the other big headline attraction in this park, and that is Hyperion, or Pepsi Hyperion. And it is their Intamin Hyper Coaster? Mega Coaster? It's the big coaster. Can't remember how tall it is, so I don't know which classification it is. But it's the one that's right, it's the first thing you see when you go into the park, because it actually goes along the side of the car park, turns around and goes back again. And it's brilliant. It's absolutely fantastic. Except, I think the week after I was there, it valleyed, but valleyed at the top, not at the bottom, which was interesting. But nonetheless, I did it 3-4 times, front row, back row, middle of the train, etc. And it is absolutely bonkers. Like, my face was ready to fall off because it was so damn cold in that front row. And yes, I was looking sexy with those goggles on. But it's great. It's got that kind of big lift hill, straight into a drop into a tunnel, a couple of more airtime hills, then there's that kind of doubles back on itself, and then there's weird bits where it just sort of yeets you sideways, and the brakes are quite violent though. For an Intamin at the end, the brakes just absolutely slam, but it is fantastic, so no prizes. This one's getting kept. I mentioned there was another tracked attraction, and there is in the form of Jeep Safari. No prizes for guessing what this is. You're in a Jeep, and there's animals because you're on a safari. And it was decent. It was all right, except I struggled to get in the Jeep. And I get it, it's a kids ride, but I would imagine that it's fairly common for parents to join the kids. There's a recurring theme you'll see when we get onto some other attractions. So it wasn't the easiest thing to get in and out of, but it was enjoyable for what it was, and yeah, for a target audience it's perfect, so I'm going to keep this one too. Right, we're about halfway through this video, and if you're enjoying this one, make sure you hit that like button, and I will be visiting around about 30 UK parks this year, many of which will be for the first time, and they will be getting reviewed afterwards, so make sure you're subscribed because there's so much coming up on the channel. Right, that takes us to the next one, and I just talked there about how, you know, the restraints on that Jeep weren't exactly, well, sorry, not the restraints, the vehicles themselves weren't particularly friendly to an adult. And that, you know, you probably go on with your children. Well, this coaster, Circus Coaster, same thing. It's a very, very boring layout, just basically a loop, and that is it. And I'm pretty sure I rearranged some internal organs to get on this thing, just to get the credit and to get a POV. Carly was sitting behind me, saw the woman absolutely staple me into this thing, and she got back out again. She was like, absolutely not, no thanks. She's got more sense than me, and I just wanted the cred. So yeah, I wasn't a huge fan of this. Again, not aimed at me, but I still think that there's probably an argument for parents going in with their kids. So for that reason alone, and the fact that it's a pretty boring layout, I'm going to scrap this one. Alright, getting back to the Vekoma rides then, there's one, I'm going to call it Energus, or something along those lines. Again, I'll put the full name up on screen because I ain't pronouncing this one. It's another Vekoma ride. It was a little bit longer. It was okay. I don't have any like strong memories of it being intense or forceful in any shape or form. So yeah, I'm just gonna chuck this one and take it or leave it. Right, another attraction they've got over towards Zadra is their giant wheel known as the Wonder Wheel. And I joked when I was there that I wondered why I did it, because on my visit it was particularly low visibility, very, very foggy, which was fantastic getting on the coasters because it kind of added a little bit of kind of mystery to them and stuff. Yeah, but on the big wheel I couldn't see a thing. In theory, on a clear day you would get excellent views of Zadra, Mayan, etc. Yeah, I saw nothing. I just saw fog. So listen, the attraction itself is decent, it's okay. My only criticism with it was only one revolution of the wheel, and it wasn't busy either, so I'm kind of surprised that it was such a short shot. It would have been nice to go around a couple of times, but I guess that's the challenge with these big wheels. Every park has a different way of operating them, whether it's like load 3 gondolas and do a full lap, or whether it's like load 1, skip 3, load 1, and then you just go around very, very slowly. So anyway, it was okay, and it would have been a lot better had it been clear and I could have seen something. So I will keep it, but I would like to get on it when it's a bit more easy to see. Now, one thing this park is lacking, so it's definitely not lacking coasters, and there's a number I'm not even going to cover because they're in that section that was closed when I visited, but the one thing they are lacking is dark rides. They only have the one called Monster House, and it's terrible. Like, it is probably one of the worst dark rides I have ever done. So I kind of went into, like, it's a reasonable facade on the outside, like, not spectacular, but, you know, oh, okay, this looks okay, like, building and stuff. And then you go in, and then you kind of see these, like, the vehicles, just like a little ghost train. And then you go in, and it's the most odd experience. Like, it was silent, very foggy, lots of bright lights, nothing moved. Nothing at all, no animatronics, no triggering as the vehicle went past, nothing. So it's quiet, nothing moves, and actually I caught up with the vehicle in front of me, and bumped into them. So yeah, this is absolutely shocking. This is like one of the worst dark rides I've ever done, and it needs scrapped. Now, one of the attractions over, well, sort of towards Zadra-ish, is Dragon Adventure. Now this is one of their monorails around that section of the park, but it's also one of the slowest monorails I have ever experienced. I think in total it took around 7 minutes. It's not the biggest track, but it just crawls around. Now, You're going around a reasonable part of the park in terms of views, so you know there's stuff to see. If you want to go out and just chill, then happy days, it's perfect for that. Yeah, I just think it needs to go either a little bit quicker, or just be a bit shorter, because it's just 7 minutes of not seeing very much wasn't my idea of fun. So I'm not going to scrap it, because I think there's potential, and maybe in the kind of warmer months where I could see better and the park's busier, it might be better to kind of just have that kind of place, a ride that you can just go and chill out on for 7 minutes. Certainly when I was there, I was like, all right, okay, so I'll put it in take it or leave it, and maybe it'll move up when I visit again in the summer. Right, so another coaster they've got that is aimed very much at the younger audience is Draken. It's a little coaster. I think it was a 3, maybe even 4 lap special, and it was okay. There was nothing to write home about. Again, as I've said already, whilst I like to keep these smaller coasters for that younger audience, this park has an abundance of them, so I'm not afraid to be a little bit more cutting at some of them. And this one, I'm not going to scrap it as such, but it will sit in that take it or leave it pile because, well, there's better kids coasters in the park. Well, another one though that was also a 4 or 5 lap special is Mars. This one's weird because, so you're in these, they look like planes, but I think they're supposed to be like spaceships. I mean, the clue's in the name, it's Mars, there's aliens in there, like props and stuff. But it was pretty rough. It wasn't comfortable in any shape or form. Getting absolutely yeeted around. Some of the profiling is just terrible. And again, given that there's a decent selection of kids coasters, this one is going in the bin. Scrap it. Right, the last kids coaster that I went on, again, if there's any in the Aqualantis section, that was closed off in the winter, so I can't speak to those. But the last one is Frutti Loop, which is basically just a standard wacky worm. Nothing special about it. It did seem to go quite quick though. I don't know if it was just well greased or if it was just because it was icy and it was skidding around the track, because it certainly went faster than I've experienced other wacky worms. But beyond that, it's okay. So I will chuck this one in take it or leave it. Right, this next one surprised me quite a bit, and that is Mayan. Now, this is a Vekoma SLC. For those of you that don't know, SLC suspended looping coaster is basically Infusion at Blackpool Pleasure Beach, or Kamali at Flamingo Land. Typically these are uncomfortable, they are rough, and they're all the same layout. This one is the same layout, but it's actually re-rideable. Now, many have said to me, oh, it's because it's got the new trains with the kind of vest restraints and stuff. I've done Condor at Wallaby Holland, and that has the same trains, and it's one of the worst. So the trains alone don't make this a comfortable ride, but this one was actually enjoyable. It was also a little strange because it's another coaster that I had to wear goggles in the front row when I got a POV, and plenty of people have questioned this, saying they've done this and never had to wear goggles. So I don't know if policies have changed in Energylandia, or if it's just seasonal, like maybe in the winter months more of the rides have it because, well, it's freezing. But yeah, I did front row with the goggles. I also did nostril cam on this one. I did it more than once, right? And that says a lot because SLCs, as I've said, are typically horrific. So this one isn't though, so it's going to go in that keep pile. Right, another flat ride the park has got is their gyro swing. I'm not sure who makes it. It's definitely not an Intamin one, known as Aztec Swing. Now, I was initially thinking this was going to be a terrible ride because when it first started, it was really, really slow. Like, it took a long time to get going. But once it did get going, however, actually it was quite enjoyable. There was reasonable force in it. Now, obviously it is a reasonably small swing, probably similar size to Maelstrom, different model, but similar-ish to that. So nowhere near the Victus or Loki. Still, it was good. It was better than I expected. It started terrible and it kind of improved. So yeah, I'm going to keep this one. Another flat ride though that, I mean, it was the other end of the spectrum, is Tsunami Drop. So their drop tower, I mean, I was literally yawning on it. It was boring, to be honest. There was people screaming. Part of my problem with it was, again, the visibility was horrific. So at the top, all I could see was white. Couldn't see a damn thing. I mean, I got the gist of where I was, and I was like, oh, there's that section of the park that's closed right now. So I kind of saw some stuff. and it sort of rotated a little bit, and it just went like it wasn't forceful in any shape or form. So there were people screaming when it dropped, but I was bored stiff. So yeah, I'm gonna scrap it. Another flat ride that I'd never experienced before was Space Gun. I don't know what the model is. I can't imagine the model name is Space Gun. If I find it, I'll put it up on screen. But basically, it's the kind of two sort of gondolas that swing in opposite directions to each other and do full inversions. And this was running on a hell of a long cycle, because like it didn't bother me. I'm quite good at going upside down and intense rides and stuff, but there was definitely a point where I was like, right, this cycle's long enough now. You can stop. Bits where it kind of just hangs you upside down, and you're putting a lot of faith in those restraints, and then just kind of wheeks you around one way, wheeks you around the other way. But it was good fun. It was good fun. I was literally the only person on it because it was that quiet. But yeah, I think if the cycle was a little bit smaller, it'd probably be perfect. Nonetheless, I'm still going to keep it. Right, there you go. That is my review of Energylandia, or at least its winter offering, because I haven't experienced the rest of the park. So let me know down below what you think of this park, and indeed, if you have been on those other attractions, tell me which ones I should look out for on my next visit. As always, I've been Chris, you've been watching Coaster Dad, and I shall see you in the next one. Adios.